What's up, Internet? Dyce Quirk here, and guess what? It's March. So, in March, I tend to think about marching. And when I think of marching, I think of soldiers. And when I think of soldiers and Japan, I think we all think about samurai. So, in the month of March, I hope you're excited. We're going to be focusing on samurai and samurai culture. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the basic information about samurai, as well as the history of samurai, when they began, and kind of when samurai culture came to a conclusion. But in the weeks to come, we'll talk about what are the swords of the samurai, what is Seppuku, what is the Bushido code, and more. So, I hope you're excited for that, and I'll include links in the description as those videos are made, so make sure you keep checking that out as well. Let's not waste time and let's get to it. First off, samurai weren't even really a thing in Japan until the Heian period of Japanese history, and they didn't even begin to resemble the type of elite soldier that we know them as until about 1192, when a man by the name of Minamoto Yoritomo actually established a brand new type of military-led government in Japan, which eventually would be called the shogunate, and he took the position of shogun, which essentially was a supreme military commander that would rule over the entire country by means of military might. And it wouldn't take long for this brand new breed of elite soldiers, the samurai, to become a very valuable and needed asset by many people in the country. This is because in the 15th and 16th century, Japan was incredibly divided between a number of independent states that were constantly at war. And because of all of this conflict, this is the period of history where you'd see the most activity between samurai and ninja in the entire country's history. Having said that, it wouldn't be until the Tokugawa period, or the Edo period, when we would actually see the samurai being raised to the top of the social class system. Of course, being at the top of the social caste system came with a couple perks. For one, it was a reserved right of the samurai to be able to own and carry a sword. They were the only ones that could do that. They also had a right to this thing called kirisute gomen, which wasn't much. It was just,
the right to kill somebody on the spot if they insulted you.
Yeah. That was a thing. But it did come with some strict consequences if samurai didn't follow all the rules of it. For example, some of the rules were they had to have witnesses, they had to immediately kill them right after the insult, they had to do it in one slice, and the person that they killed had to be of a lower rank than them. And if they didn't follow any of these rules or some of the other rules that came with kirisute gomen, then they actually could be asked to kill themselves. They could have themselves killed by somebody else, or even worse,
they could lose their rank as a samurai and become a commoner.
Samurai, more often than not, were hired by daimyo, and typically they were paid in either rice or they were given land as a part of their service. Most samurai were also required to live inside of a thing called castle towns. Inside of the castle town, a samurai's house would differ in size as well as closeness to the castle depending on their rank under their employer. However, there were some samurai that weren't employed by daimyo or employed by anybody long term. And so these samurai would wander from region to region, and they would kind of operate more like mercenaries. These samurai were called ronin. By the beginning of the Tokugawa period, samurai had become a staple part of Japanese culture. However, during the Tokugawa period, some interesting stuff would happen that would completely transform the way samurai operated within the country. The biggest thing that really happened was because of the Shimabara Rebellion, Japan went into isolation for like 250 years. And during this 250 years, there was peace.
Huge stretch of peace.
Where no war was taking place. And so this warrior class had to begin to expand into other fields. And so many samurai actually expanded out and became bureaucrats, some became artists, and some even became teachers, all of which, at the time, had a higher profit margin. This all lasted until July 8th, 1853, when Commodore Matthew Perry actually led 4 U.S. warships into Tokyo Bay Harbor. It turns out that 250 years of isolation from the rest of the world actually left Japan in a precarious situation. Essentially, they were outclassed in technology, as well as outclassed in military might. And this ushered in the Meiji Restoration, where Japan sought to put the emperor back in charge of the country, eliminating the shogunate, and also abolishing the samurai system for a more unified military system under the emperor. And most samurai were okay with having their perks abolished, or having their caste system position abolished. But there were some samurai that were not happy with this. And so they all formed a group and were led by Saigo Takamori. And this group under Saigo Takamori actually fought against the unified army under the emperor. And they lasted a little while, but in 1877, they were eliminated. And this marked the end of the samurai era as we know it.
So, want to learn more? Perfect.
Because like I mentioned before, in the month of March, we're going to be focusing on everything samurai. So every week, we're going to be putting out a new video about a different aspect of samurai culture or just a new aspect about samurai. And so, if you're interested in that, first off, I'm going to be putting a link right above me. And that link will go to the newest samurai video, or if I've completed all the samurai videos for March, it'll be a playlist for all of the samurai videos. Now, also, inside the description for this video, I'll be including all of the links to every samurai video I make during this month. And in addition to that, I also wanted to say, if you enjoyed this video or you found it informative, please consider liking or maybe even subscribing to our channel because every week, we're trying to put out a different video about Japanese culture. And this particular month is all about samurai, but we do other things like planning your trip to Japan, or we try to go over what daruma are, and a bunch of other stuff. So, consider that, as well as leaving a comment telling us what you would like us to make a video about. So, yeah, make sure you leave that comment in there, and thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and it really helps us build the channel one subscriber at a time. So, thank you so much, and Dyce Quirk out.